Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So today we're a very special after Christmas Video Game Trap House Tour Edition video because Alejandro and the Super Sega team are back with more details, including saying that Sega wants a 5-figure settlement, which inconveniently is probably about the same exact amount of money that they took in for pre-orders, if you know what I mean. But the Trap House Christmas tree has been covered in tinsel, and we're going to take one last snow-filled tour through the Alejandro saga. The Todd Rogers of Spain, the Salvador Dali of Scans, the Ron Jeremy of FPGA. But now it's SPGA, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But honestly, this has been one of the most insane wild rides of 2024, not just for me in the channel, but for retro gaming in general. And it really is a bummer that FPGA gaming has gotten big enough now where we're seeing projects like this come in, trying to take advantage of the overall hype train and talking about a Dreamcast FPGA core because it is one of the most requested cores from pretty much everyone. People want the hardware out there to have Dreamcast and FPGA, and I totally get that sentiment. It would be absolutely amazing to have. But we do have some bad news, and that's that Alejandro and the Super Sega FPGA team sent an email out and stated that Alejandro is selling his beloved Lambo to cover the cost of this project, or apparently what Sega wants him to pay. Supposedly, Sega has been in contact with the Super Sega FPGA team and demanded a 5-figure settlement for what we have absolutely no idea. There's been no documentation shown, so it is basically up to a guess. And big thanks to Ian Lee, who sent me some of this information, as well as some of the viewers of the channel and a few people that did pre-order that provided this information to me as well. It has just gotten even weirder, and it is very interesting that this happens right before Christmas. If Alejandro is apparently issuing refunds, they're not going to go out until after the holiday because pretty much every refund process takes at least a few business days to complete, and with the Christmas Eve and Christmas Day holiday upcoming, you know that things are basically going to get stretched into the future. And so far, with these emails stating that refunds have gone out, every pre-order person I have talked to has stated they have not received anything whatsoever. And this is apparently down to the fact that Alejandro and the team have renamed the project from the Super Sega FPGA to the Super SPGA, and that stands for Sega Programmable Gate Array. And this is a very hilarious naming convention because the team stated that Sega was suing them over the use of Sega and Sega FPGA, and then they end up going and renaming it, and holy shit, they just put Sega back into the title. Does it make any sense as to why they would actually use the word Sega on the website after stating that Sega was upset with them? It does not. But so much information has been coming out about this project in the last couple of weeks. It's been so much fun to bring them to you, along with Ian Lee, who's been working with me in the background. I got him in touch with Alejandro, and he was able to convince him to actually take the heatsink off of the Super Sega FPGA prototype board so he could get a look underneath, and we clearly found that there was nothing under there, but we'll get to that in just a moment. But basically, for all intents and purposes, Super Sega FPGA is stating that the project is dead today because they're refunding everyone, and they say they're going to be back in 2025 with something new. And the question really is, why is that? And when we actually saw this FPGA chip, there was no components around it that would support its functionality. If you've ever seen the underside of a MiSTer FPGA board, if you've ever seen any other PCB with an FPGA chip on it, you will know that there's nothing there that's going to actually make this function. So even if they call it the Sega Programmable Gate Array, again, a very stupid thing, if Sega was actually in contact with them, it would be for naught because the components just aren't there. And obviously we all knew the death of Super Sega FPGA was coming, we just didn't know what form it was going to take. I was guessing that it was going to be some sort of proposed lawsuit from Sega that Alejandro stated was happening, and that seems to be exactly what is going on here. But the big question is, are these refunds actually going to go out? We're really not going to know until after Christmas because I'm recording this voiceover 3 hours before you're watching this video. But even if you're not getting a Super Sega FPGA under the tree this year, at least you got this from Alejandro.
Mi polla! Nice fucking model!
Just absolutely amazing. And this is what Alejandro sent to Ian Lee as of yesterday. Go ahead and listen, and I'll be right back.
What is new is Sega are asking for a 5-figure payoff. Don't know what that is. It's anywhere, as you know what 5 figures mean, anywhere between 10,000 and 99,999.
So that is some very interesting information. I'll explain it in just a moment. But remember, we know they have between 200 and 300 pre-orders at 420 euros each, and at 200, the math on that would be 84,000 euros, which inconsequently is a 5-digit number, just like the Super Sega FPGA team is stating that Sega is seeking from them. Now again, we can't verify that is the case, but there's a big confluence of information coming in all at once. The Super Sega FPGA team has sent an email out stating that they're going to be issuing refunds. They're also saying that the project can't continue. They're saying that they're selling their Lamborghini to cover the cost to Sega, and they're talking about Sega wanting a 5-digit sum from them. So it's really going to be interesting to see how this shakes out in the next week or so. I do not know if anyone's going to see a refund. I do not know what's going to happen, but I am going to posit some guesses and different scenarios as to how this could game out. One, and I will give them the benefit of the doubt, they refund the money and walk away. Maybe the heat's getting a little bit too hot, and maybe the vice is clamping down on Alejandro's you-know-what a little bit too hard and he wants to walk away. Additionally, it could be a situation in which they state they're issuing refunds, they don't come, and somehow there is a hold on the funds because Sega supposedly gets in contact with the credit card processor and the funds are held, then it becomes quote-unquote Sega's fault. What I do know is the next video that Alejandro has uploaded, since we talked about it last time, is again him playing guitar in Spain somewhere. And why would you upload this when people are wondering what's going on? There's this supposed contact with Sega, people were concerned they're not getting anything for their money. This is just so strange and so weird. It is one of the best Christmas gifts you could possibly get, is the entirety of the Super Sega FPGA story. And just last week, Alejandro stated that the Lamborghini didn't belong to him, it belonged to one of his companies, and it wasn't his money. Now this week, apparently in an email, they state they are selling it to provide money to the project. You cannot square those two statements with each other and have any sense come out of the back end of it. And that has been the issue with the Super Sega FPGA project since the beginning. Nothing adds up. 1 + 1 = 69. You never know what's going to happen next, but all you know is the bits of information you are given are going to cause you to have more questions than actually have answers, and it's been like that the entirety of the way. But at least we get some smooth moves from Todd Rogers himself right here. It has been hilarious, and that has always been one of my favorite things about this. We've been able to have fun with the Super Sega FPGA project while also telling you that it is something you should avoid. And unfortunately, it seems like if he's telling the truth, this Lamborghini is going to be driven by somebody else, and if I was rich, I would try to buy it myself so I could have the Super Sega FPGA Lamborghini in my quote-unquote collection. But I don't have Lamborghini money, at least not this year. Make sure you like and subscribe down below. Maybe next year I'll be able to. But all jokes aside, again, this has been so weird. He showed off that motorcycle a month ago, and then he sent a photograph of him sitting on that motorcycle in the refund email that was received earlier today, and it's in the thumbnail of this video. And of course, again, there's been so much dancing going on in all of these videos. That may be the one consistent thing across the entirety of the Super FPGA saga, the absolute insane weird comedy aspect of it. It's almost like watching a parody or a farce take place in front of your eyes, except it was to the tune of almost 100,000 euros. And I have been sent a photograph of apparently a Stripe deduction on the Super Sega FPGA account, but I'm not going to tell you who it was sent to, and I'm not going to show you the photograph. I know you guys will trust me when I say I have seen it, but of course it's not anything I can verify outside of the screenshot that Alejandro sent a third party, but it does show a negative 113,000 euro transaction, but of course that isn't one bulk sum, so who knows where it went. It could just be a deduction from the account, let alone refunds. It's going to take probably 48 to 72 hours to know if anyone's actually seen their refund money yet, so there will definitely probably be an update on the 26th or later on in the month. But of course it is the holiday season. I am trying to spend time with my friends and family, so if I don't get to it immediately, you'll just have to wait and find out how it ends. But I will try my ever-loving best to make sure you get the information as soon as possible, so we find out what's going on with the Sasquatch of FPGA boards, old Super Sega FPGA Bigfoot here himself. But this has just been an absolute saga, and I told you it seemed like it was wrapping up soon, and it seems like they're using the cover fire of something like the Christmas and New Year's holiday to be able to wind this down in some way, shape, or form. But it's really going to be interesting to see whether or not anyone actually sees their money back on this. But I am in contact with multiple people who did pre-order and had the 420 euro deduction on their accounts, so I will know immediately if anyone actually sees money back. Leave me a comment down below and leave me a guess. Do you think anyone's going to actually see their money or not? But tomorrow's Christmas Eve, I'll have some special videos for you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.